And welcome to Smokey Uncuffed, where we'll talk about law enforcement, social media platforms that I use, and just life. I'm your host, Brian. And today what we're going to talk about is podcasting. I've talked in the past about monetizing on YouTube, and the big question I get from that is, now when you're doing the podcast, do you make front money from it? So honestly, right now, no. I'm just starting out. I've only been doing this about a month and a half, maybe close to 2 months. And what I'm going to go over today is the ways you can monetize a podcast. I mean, there are a number of ways. Many of these bounce back and forth. They work on both stuff like YouTube, Facebook. You can actually do some of this stuff on Facebook. You can do it on Instagram. So many of these things really work on all these platforms. So on a podcast, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you you're going to need a landing page. On this landing page, you will describe your podcast, talk about your podcast, some of the stuff that you're thinking about, some of your views. What you're also going to be putting on this is things that you'll actually be making the money off of. Affiliate marketing, that's one I've talked about before on YouTube. And what affiliate marketing is simply putting links to products that you may be using or products that you reviewed and you really approve of. And so you put a link to it. And so just using Amazon affiliate as an example, whenever somebody goes down and clicks on that link, it takes them to Amazon, to that product. If they buy that product, you make a percentage. So this is usually a small percentage because most things aren't going to be just high-end stuff. I've got a few things that I make a little bit of money off of that, when I say a little bit of money, 50, 60 bucks every time somebody buys one. Those are few and far between. And that's all on YouTube. So on your podcast, you're just going to put a list of these things, like I would put my computer, the microphone, my interface, just equipment I'm using, just to generate you a little revenue off stuff you're using anyway. This is the way I make my majority of the money off YouTube. It's not from the AdSense, from the ads, it's from affiliate marketing. I actually make more money off of it every month than I do off YouTube at the moment. So the one thing that I am going to be selling on my landing page is merch. I'm also going to have that merchandise on YouTube. And the way that's going to work, it's basically shirts, hoodies. I've actually got a t-shirt on underneath this one. This one is actually called the Vintage Canoe. This is my wife's company. And so my shirt will be on there, which is Smokey CNC Woodworks. That's the only one I've got made right now. I'm going to get some made for Smokey Uncuffed. So I'll put all that merchandise on there just simply as a simple location to direct them to her website so they can get the merchandise they want. I mean, it's simple, it's easy, and why not offer it? If you can get 1 out of 10 people that come to your website to go over there and buy one, or maybe they buy something else from her website. For me, that's a win because the money's still coming to my house. So next up, probably the most popular way is sponsored programs, sponsored podcast. So what that means is basically ads. So just an example, say Colgate toothpaste. The way they would work, they'd make contact with you. You would agree to do an ad for X number of dollars per ad that you put out. And so roughly it's usually $20 to $25 per 1,000 listeners. So that is just a rough estimate, but that from what I gather, that is about the average. So what you would do is just give a little pitch. You can either do, if they prefer you do their exact ad, what they want you to say, they may send it to you. Or they just may want you to talk about it and just put a good spin on them, just to get people interested in their product. Now you're thinking $25 an ad, you make $25 a podcast, that's not much. What you have to look at in that is, as you grow, you'll be able to scale this. So you'll be able to take this, say you get up to 10,000 listeners, and it's $25 per 1,000. Well, now say you have 4 or 5 different ads that you're running for different sponsors. You're talking some real money. One of the guys I've talked about before is Pat Flynn. I happen to know on his Ask Pat podcast, he makes anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000 per podcast. Which that's not unbelievable riches, but $16,000 a month sounds pretty good. At least it does to me. So one of them I'll be doing right off the bat, and I'll be putting on my landing page, which, let me clarify, I actually do not have my landing page launched yet. I have got it 98% designed and ready to upload. I just got a few housekeeping things. I got to put this very next thing I'm going to tell you about, which is a link to Buzzsprout. So on Buzzsprout, the way their deal works, I talk about it and I can throw an ad out there to say, hey, if you guys are interested in using Buzzsprout, it's the platform I use to do podcasts. You can run over to my landing page and I'll have a link. And if you click on that link, not only does it give you a reduced price on your podcast fee, it also gives you a $20 Amazon card. So just to spend. So you can use that to buy some equipment. And you don't think you can buy much equipment with $20, but my last microphone cost $23. I've actually got 2 microphones because I'm going to start interviewing here before long, and which I'm really looking forward to. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But where it benefits me as the podcaster, I also get that Amazon card. And I'm on Amazon all the time. I mean, like everybody else. So that'll be my first way that I actually monetize that, and I'm going to put some links to the equipment I'm using. And that's just going to be my baby steps getting into the monetizing my podcast. So probably the next most popular way is sell something. You have a product you believe in, a product that maybe you've developed, and you're wanting to get it out there. You want to sell it. So not only would you have a website that sells your product, you've got immediate advertisement. You can advertise it every time you jump on your podcast. So, I mean, you're going to reach some ears there. So like on YouTube, that's the biggest thing with YouTube. It's a huge marketing platform. So I get tons of orders, and I'm not even asking for them. But I get them, I fill them, I make money off the product and off all this other stuff I'm doing. And a lot of what these guys are selling on their landing page that do podcasts or even the YouTube stuff, they'll have a landing page, and what they're selling is a how-to start a podcast, how to best monetize podcast, how to best do all the social networking stuff. And that is big business. I personally don't have any set plan or set program that I've got set up. And I haven't subscribed to any of the ones that are out there. I just do enough research on the internet that I'll learn what I need to know and just run with it from there. So the next couple of ways I'm not super high on. I don't know. I just have a problem with this. I know a bunch of people do it and they do make money off of it, hand over fist. I'm just not built this way. But it's simply asking for donations. That would be more or less me getting on here and saying, hey, if you like my podcast, please support me by sending money here. Well, I'm not really built that way. I mean, I feel like you need to work for what you get. I don't think people need to be giving me money for no reason. And I'm choosing to do this. Nobody's twisting my arm. The other one on that note is Patreon. I just have not pulled the trigger on it. I know a bunch of channels use it. The YouTube channels use it. I know a bunch of podcasts use it. And I keep saying at some point I may just go ahead and set up a page for it or a link to it and just leave it there. You'll probably never hear me mention it because I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm not super into just asking people for the money. And when I really haven't delivered anything in my eyes that is just that you can't live without. I mean, I try to put good content out there so you learn something, you get a little bit of information, and maybe it piques your interest on doing the same thing. But do I think I need to be paid for it? No. The next one is, it's a little different. They've started it on YouTube also. It's paid membership. So basically you just set up a program to where you probably be paid through PayPal, or you could even be paid through Patreon. And if you want to be a member of my crew here that watches this, it would be a paid membership to where you got to pay X amount of money every month or X amount of money every year just so you can come watch it. I haven't even looked into this stuff simply because I enjoy the fact that podcasts and YouTube are free to listen to. I don't want to mess with that. I mean, I don't understand why we need to start making paid memberships to come get some information that you were getting for free, but now it's going to cost you $100, every 6 months or whatever. I don't even know what they charge, because the minute they pop up a paid membership, I'm out. I just don't understand. I mean, I understand it to the point that they're trying to maximize the amount of money they make off their social media platforms, I'm just not understanding how they think it's okay to ask for somebody to do a paid membership when you offer nothing more. And maybe they do offer more information or more content. Maybe that's what I'm missing. I just have not investigated it very hard. And that's possibly the case. Possibly I could give you a podcast about, or a YouTube video, either one, about my favorite skill saw, and go on and on and on. And then with the paid membership, I give you just a little more information, some tips and tricks, or something like that. Maybe that's how it works. Okay, I could see that being worth a little bit of money if it was some very good content. But I'm going to be honest, I don't look at most of my content to be something people can't live without. But I do hope that it's somewhat informative, and that's all I'm really after. Okay, another one that people make money off of is public speaking. This one I've actually done. I haven't got paid for it. I just got asked to come talk to a group about social networking, social platforms, so I gladly went and spoke to them. I mean, they were just a group that were wanting to be informed. It was a local group in the city I live in. They were just looking at a way to expand their reach for the Kiwanis Club. That's what it was. And I gladly went because I get there and I know 98% of the people in the room. It's not a big town I live in. So that is a way you can monetize down the road, because as you grow as a channel and your listeners grow, you might have people actually come to legitimate speaking spots. One of the guys that I'm buddies with that we do YouTube, I actually went with him to a town about an hour and a half away from here, and he actually did a paid speaking gig at a men's group, and there are like 250 people at it. It was a big deal. But he delivered good content. He explained things well, and he was able to convey to them the importance of these platforms and the ways you can gather information and knowledge from these different channels and these different podcasts. It was just kind of a good speaking on that, and it was also had Christian values in it. He actually gave his testimonial at this, which was very uplifting. I mean, the guy did a really good job, and I was happy to be there to help him out, because what I did there was I filmed him doing it so he could put it on his YouTube channel. That's Arms Family Homestead, if you guys would like to go check it out. Then you've got the obvious one. As I mentioned before, I have Smokey CNC Woodworks, and I actually make signs. I make graphic art, per se, on wood. And I do a lot of airbrushing and painting and staining and just all sorts of things to this wood. And I make a really cool looking product in the end. And so basically my point to that is you can make leads to your personal business from a platform like this. You can get on there and talk about your stuff, talk about the content, talk about the things that you're making and how they could be useful in everybody's lives. Now, most of my stuff, kind of like on YouTube, you can see it right here on my right shoulder. This is what I do, this woodwork. And for you on the podcast, I've got my logo, my Smokey Uncuffed logo, cut into wood and airbrushed. I mean, it looks really cool. It looks just like the logo that you see on the little thumbnail for the podcast. So I do that for a lot of businesses. Basically, that's just good advertisement for them. So you can use a platform like this to raise interest in your business and hopefully cultivate some leads for some future business ideas and for some future business possibilities. So the next one, I'm actually going to one later this month. It's a hosted event put on by a couple of pretty large YouTube channels. And I'll be there with Smokey CNC Woodworks. This is just a great place to interact with other people that watch YouTube channels or have YouTube channels. You can just mingle, get great ideas from each other. But by putting that on, these guys are going to charge a little cover charge. Nothing huge, $2 or $3, maybe $5. But you think about that. You have 10,000 people show up, which I'm expecting it to be around there. Both of these channels have about 240, 250,000 subs. I'm expecting it to be a large turnout. What I'm actually doing there is my wife and I are setting up a booth. We're going to be selling our products at it. So the whole point to that is that's just something else you can look at down the road. You can make a event where other podcasters show up. Y'all talk, you spitball ideas at each other, and just kind of look at where you could take this. So this other one, I probably should have put up there with that paid membership information, because it basically seems like it would apply there. It's content upgrade. And I'm just going to give you an example. Say you have a podcast and you love metal detecting. And so you go all over the United States metal detecting or wherever, and you have got your favorite places that you go that you find incredible artifacts. So content upgrade on that would be people come visit your landing page and you come in there and you put a map for $5, $2.50, whatever, of your top 10 favorite places. And for even more money, you could say these are all the places that I go regularly. That way it's just some added information that they're going to get real value out of. Something that would really help them come out and find the treasures. So obviously this all is going to predicate on you being able to speak, do the editing that I have to do on most of these podcasts, because believe it or not, I don't speak perfectly. What y'all really don't hear is when I say and so and constantly doing that stuff. I edit most of that out because it makes me sound like a real hillbilly, which I sound like anyway. What you really need to focus on is getting a good speaking pattern, a good rap, meaning that you just really let it roll out. All of my stuff is not scripted. At most, I write down some notes about topics I'm going to hit on, but I don't script it. I just get up here and start talking. Because it's stuff I'm comfortable doing, I do a lot of social network stuff. And when I even talk about the law enforcement, I did 20 years of it. I've got firsthand knowledge. One I can actually go and talk about is EMS, doing medical care. I did that for 7 years prior to the Highway Patrol. Very familiar with it and still have to use it from time to time. One thing I'm going to tell you though, if you get into this kind of thing, all these social platforms, you cannot worry about people's perception of you, because you're going to get the bad comments. You're going to get people that just tell you you're trash, that what you're doing is no good. You can't hear that stuff. On the flip side, you probably shouldn't be listening to the praise too much either. One way or the other, it's probably not good for you, because you listen to the praise and you get too high up here, then you get 2 or 3 bad comments, and then it's just going to drop you to rock bottom. The beauty of my situation is I worked in the field for 20 years that most people weren't happy to see me. So, because if you're speeding and I'm the one that shows up, you're not going to be too glad that I'm there. So I've never worried about what people thought of me, for the most part. I mean, I want my wife, my kids to, of course, think of me in a good manner, but I don't worry about the general public, because honestly, I've got who I need at home. So I don't worry about everybody else's perception of me. With that said, I'm going to give you a couple of them that are pretty funny. And I haven't got that many because I just do woodworking. I've got a couple. I mean, I've got somebody dropping about the way I wired my machine. And it was 3 paragraphs long. I mean, I don't know how this guy went off for 3 paragraphs about wiring, but he did. So the way I handle it, do I come back at him? No. I simply say, thanks for watching. Because here's the truth of it. Whether he liked that or not, he watched it. He watched how I did it. So he gave some real good information. He was obviously an electrician. But I'm not going to sweat that. I didn't lose any sleep over it. So the ones that I was going to give you that were examples were actually off my buddy's channel I mentioned earlier, Arms Family Homestead. He actually had somebody come on and put, "You are a godless creature. You're going out hunting and killing these animals. Why don't you get your food at the grocery store like everybody else?" I mean, I'm not sure where these people thought the food came from at the grocery stores, but... So it went on to say that your kids are going to be godless heathens. And at some point in there, he switched it completely around and said, "And someday, aliens are going to come down, catch you, and cook you in a stew with onions and potatoes." What kind of bad place do these people have to be in to take it there? I mean, they're just projecting their negativity onto you for no reason. So the best thing that my buddy Daniel did was he put it on Facebook. Daniel did not respond to this person. He just gave him a thumbs up. That was it. But he put it on Facebook. And so then everybody else started hammering this person, started talking to him. And the best response I saw, and there's probably 50 of them, one of them actually said, "Yeah, what an idiot. Everybody knows aliens don't like onions. So I'm going to interrupt right there, guys. This is going to be a shorter one than normal. I usually do about 30 minutes. This one I had just a limited amount of content I could talk on, and I tried to get through it fast because I'm actually got to go do something else, like clean out the storage shed with my wife. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. But you know, those things got to be done too. So I covered many ways to monetize a podcast, from affiliate marketing all the way down to public speaking. I have a whole list of them in there. These are ways that are tried and true and do make actual money. I can vouch for that because the affiliate marketing has treated me very well ever since I started using it. And that's on YouTube. I expect it to do much the same on this because it's just free links and easy access links on how to get started doing something as exciting as the podcast. So that's going to be about it for today. If you guys hadn't done so yet, please subscribe to my podcast and on my YouTube channel, which I syndicate on, if it wasn't clear by now. So what that means by syndication is I podcast, I record it, I put it on my YouTube, so I'm making money off both platforms when the podcast starts making money. So like I said, guys, please subscribe. Go over and check out Smokey Uncuffed on YouTube. And don't forget about my Smokey CNC Woodworks. And as always, I'll see you and hear y'all next time.